Hey guys, this is Warren at BMW Sports Car, and today we're going to talk about the E36 M3. So the E36 M3 came to the US markets from 1995 to 1999, and we almost didn't get it. There was actually a big side story where BMW in Germany did not want to send the next generation M3 to the North American shores, and really what it came down to was that BMW didn't feel that there was a market for it because the first generation M3, which is now the legendary E30 M3, actually didn't sell well, believe it or not. So, I don't know if you guys knew, but back then there wasn't a lot of numbers of these E30 M3s sold. So when BMW came with the next generation, they said they originally did not want to bring it to the US. Luckily, there was a big response from the US market. A lot of enthusiasts wrote to BMW, and they did bring the car in. So what we ended up getting in 1995 was the E36 M3, and it came with a inline-six engine that produced 240 horsepower at 6,000 RPMs, and it had 225 pounds-feet of torque. Now, the big, now looking at it, a lot of people complain about now is that the European market actually had, or actually the rest of the world had, a more powerful engine, which actually had 46 more horsepower for a total of 286. So BMW Germany, while they did give us the M3, they gave it with a weaker engine. And a lot of people consider this engine, which is the M50, they consider it not to be a classic BMW engine. So what did we also get? We got this great car that dimension-wise was very small and light. It was around 3,200 pounds, and it started was common today of many body styles. So the E36 M3 was the first M3 that came in a coupe, a four-door sedan, and a convertible, which is now standard now for every M3, but that was the first time this happened. Also, it came with a transmission, a ZF automatic transmission, as well as a 5-speed manual. And more importantly, BMW sold a lot of these cars. There was over 36,000 cars sold in the US, and this sort of solidified the M3. Basically what happened with the US market buying so many M3s that BMW from now on moving forward decided they will always bring an M3 to the US market, and with the next generation, which was the E46 M3, they made sure it was the same car. So in a lot of ways, the E36 M3 had an interesting history. So let's talk about the car itself. So when you look at this car, and this one is particular, is a Estroil Blue, is one of the famous BMW blue colors, and as you look from the front to the sides and to the back, is a very handsome car in my mind. It has a very angular sort of dimensions to it. It's very small footprint. Next to the E30, this is the next smallest M3, and also it carried on a tradition, which unfortunately is probably a negative transition where tradition I was trying to say is that moving forward, there's been a bigger M3 for every generation. So this generation, it was a very small car, very light, very nimble, and actually had great steering and a great chassis. And back in the day, in the 1990s, this was considered one of the best driving cars in the market. It actually outclassed in some car magazines against a Ferrari or a Corvette and other sports cars in the market, also Porsche as well. And with 240 horsepower, even though we poo-poo it now, for the weight, the size, 240 horsepower is more than adequate for this type of car. And again, it has the classic rear-wheel drive, power in the back. This particular car was actually modified with supercharger, so the owner of this car was able to produce more horsepower. It was done by a group in New Jersey called Maximum PSI, which is specialized in supercharging these cars, and I was told that this particular car has over 400 horsepower. So imagine, with 240 horsepower normally for the weight, it was a great, it was enough power for the car. At 400, there's a lot of power for this car, and this, if you like a lot of torque and a lot of push in the back of the seat, this car has it. Interior wise, this car has some upgrades. I think it came from Maximum PSI. Obviously, it has some readouts that's on the steering wheel. Has a Momo steering wheel, which is nicer than your standard M3 steering wheel. It comes with a ivory leather interior, and the seats are actually very well known too. They're called Vadar seats. I believe, I guess it was named after Star Wars fans, and it kind of has a very sinister look to it, especially in black. If you ever see these Vadar seats in black, they look great. And again, this is actually part of, I believe, early M3 coupes only came with the Vadars. So the sedans did not come with the Vadars, nor did the convertibles. If you ever see a convertible, and I did this myself, so I know, I used to have an E36 convertible, and I put some Vadar seats in there, but that wasn't standard. It also came with the first sort of set of electronics with BMW. It came with a trip computer, which in today's day and age is probably useless, but it was able to give you some readouts like mileage and stuff. Remember, this is all high tech back in the 1990s when this car came out. So at the end of the day, the E36 M3 is a great car. It's not going to be in today's standards a performance standout, but back in the day it was a great handling car. Today it's still a great handling car. These cars actually used a lot by enthusiasts for motorsports because they make great track cars. They're very inexpensive as well, where you can buy them pretty cheap and then really mod them. The main issues that these cars had, which is very common if you buy E36 M3s, there was a couple issues. It had the Vanos issue. So if you're familiar with the E46, this car, obviously before, had the same issue. It also had a subframe issue where, again, the subframe was weak the way they bolted the suspension to the subframe in the rear. And definitely this car had issues with the water cooling system. That was definitely a weak point for these cars. If you ever get a car that has many miles, over 60,000 for instance, you probably have to get that water cooling system redone. So what is the future of this car? Well, BMW made they sold a lot of these cars in the US. So again, you could find a great car. The prices haven't really moved, where on the average you could find a good quality car from $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. It was really low mileage. Again, these cars have a lot of maintenance upkeep. That if you own the car, you gotta make sure you're on top of and take care of. The good thing is there's a lot of parts and third-party manufacturers that make parts for these cars, so you can always get pieces and stuff. Plus, and also because it's been around for so long, and it's still a popular platform for BMW fans. There's tons of third-party vendors for wheels and parts and interiors and mods that you could buy for this car. So it's a great platform. If you never bought a BMW, it is a great first car to get into, a great first M3. If you want, you could jump straight into the E46 M3 as well, but these are great cars. They would probably never appreciate or get the appreciation in the M3 hierarchy. It seems that the E46 M3 has been gaining a big following and is sort of hitting that legendary status that the E30 M3 has. The E36 M3 is sort of like the forgotten stepchild in a lot of ways. The E92, we still don't know where that's going to stand in the M3 hierarchy. A lot of people love that V8 engine. I love that V8 engine. The car itself got bigger though. And then obviously the F80 M3s, M4s are too new to really make a judgment call on. But the E36 M3, I had one. I thought they were great cars to drive. I enjoy driving it just because you can't buy a car today that has the footprint of an E36 M3, meaning very small and lithe, low weight, great handling. The closest you probably could get something to it by BMW is M2, but again, it's going to be bigger than what you could get in the E36 M3. My recommendation, if you're looking to get into a M3 for the first time, a E36 M3 is a great first car. And if you have a M3 already, different kind of M3, is a great card to pick up as a secondary M3, only because, again, there's so many out there. You could buy them pretty cheap, and there's a lot of fun things you could do to make them your own. Well, we hope that you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to our channel, like us, and subscribe. Obviously, see some future videos that's going to come out from us. Thank you very much.